All right, Georgia's got some breaking news here. Jordan Mayava, who is the quarterback at Nevada, Las Vegas, we all call it UNLV, is transferring to Georgia through the transfer portal. Now, listen, um, he had quite so at the beginning of the season he was not playing that much, but as time went on, he was clearly their starting quarterback. So against Michigan, he was 5 of 7 for 68 yards, but he was not their primary quarterback in that game. From that point forward, their win over Vanderbilt, 19 of 33 for 261, an interception and a touchdown in that game. He wound up with 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 244 completions on 353 attempts. That's a lot of balls. 3,000 yards, 64%. He's running it a little bit, about 4 yards a carry, 73 carries for 277 yards. So you can see that Georgia is not okay with just three quarterbacks. They listen. This is a product of a couple of different things. First of all, you got, obviously Carson Beck's come back. And then you got Gunnar Stockton and Ryan Puglisi coming in. When Dylan Raiola did not stick to coming to Georgia, did not stick to his word. I don't know. I'm not running the kid down. He chose not to go to Georgia after he said he would forever, which is fine. I don't care. But that's when that happened, and then you got Brock Vandagriff leaving because Carson Beck comes back. Then you have a chain of events where Georgia needs four quarterbacks on scholarship. That's just where we're at. That's where we're at in major college football. You need to have that many guys because guys get hurt. It just happens. And the portal, the one thing about the portal is, you can address quarterback really quick. Well, Georgia wasn't really in that position this offseason. They were in a situation where, they need depth at quarterback. And they got that here today, or tonight, I should say, happening just a little bit before the national championships kickoff. Obviously, a little bit more dual threat than Carson Beck, but it gives you now, Georgia, the ability. You've got three quarterbacks that will be in the system for at least a year before, as Carson Beck heads on out the door to the NFL. I watched the Mountain West a lot. I will say that right now. UNLV was a pretty good team. I don't know if it was just because of Maiva. Oh, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. I said it wrong the second time there. Mayava, sorry. I don't know if it was because of Mayava or, because they were just pretty good. I think they were just pretty good, but they did score a lot of points. You look at from the point where he kind of took over on, scored 40 on Vandy, 45 on UTEP, 44 on Hawaii, 45 on Nevada, 25 in a close one against Colorado State, then 24 in a loss to Fresno, then 56, 34, 31, 31, 20, and then they lost their bowl game. They scored 36 points. He was extremely active from game 3 on, which was post Michigan. They lost to Michigan 35-7. They actually didn't play bad in that game, UNLV. But anyway, I watched this as not a bad league at all. And if you're just plucking one person out of it, I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, earlier today on Dawg Post, some of the value of being a member is, like, we talk about these things and we let folks know on the message board earlier today, yeah, Georgia's definitely looking to add a quarterback. They just are. And, this was the guy that was being sort of mumbled about and rumbled about. And that's what's happened tonight. Now, what does it mean for the future? I think it's just what I said earlier. You want to have enough guys to where there's a competition when Beck leaves. It doesn't mean that you have to have. It doesn't mean that the person who's always been there will win. Will win the competition, which would be Gunner. It just means that you're giving yourself an opportunity to have as many guys in the system as possible. And this guy's a dual threat guy. Clearly, dual threat, don't get too excited when I say that. This is our River's Edge Adirondack chair from our friends at EcoPoly. I wonder what they think about this maneuver from Kirby and Company tonight. So this is in red and black that we show you all the time. The link is down below. Get yourself something nice. Get yourself a comfortable, long-lasting chair. And that's what you're going to get from EcoPoly, made of completely recycled plastics. 20-year warranty. You're not going to get better than that. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But, for Georgia, this sticks them at 4 scholarship quarterbacks for the 2024 season, excuse me. They only had 3 this past year. They weren't pumped up about that. So, there is value in having 4 guys. A season ago in 22, you had Carson, Stetson, Gunner, and you had Brock Vandegrift. You had 4 guys. In 21, I think they only had 3 that year, which was Stetson, JT, and Carson. Now, someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that front. I don't think I am. They got into a position in 20 where, with Jamie Newman leaving, they started scrambling. I don't think they want to be in that position again. And I know they don't want to be in a position like they were in 2019, where they basically had 2 guys, one of which was Stetson Bennett, who was really being poo-pooed at the time. But as it turns out, was the actual national championship quarterback on that roster, not Jake Fromm. But Jake was the starter and was a really good quarterback for them. You've got to have the arms too. So I think the other part about this reminds me just right this second of a conversation I had with somebody in 2016 going into 17, I think it was. And if I'm getting the names wrong, you'll forgive me. But the global point is that, Kirby's program is just not going to stop. So that season, I think it was Akil Crompton who came on board. And he was just some random guy, like out of nowhere random guy. And they signed him. And, it wasn't anything unbelievable that he did while he was in uniform. But it was just another example of, hey, we've got scholarships. We're going to use them. By the way, they're very on top of the number right now. And I'm not going to go into details. That's something I spent the weekend going through. You can read about it on Dawg Post. But, they're right on top of it. They're over the number. But that's not abnormal in the spring, because you've got some guys who won't be there. Dwight Phillips won't be there in the spring. And you've got some COVID guys. So what do I mean by that? Certain players still have their COVID year. Xavier Truss is a good example of that. I'm not going to go through all of it. That's the value of Dawg Post. You can go on there and read there and ask me questions. I'm much more attentive to our paying subscribers than I am to social media. So check it out now. It's not too late in the year to take advantage of Dawg Post. But look, I think it's just a great example of this program's not going to stop recruiting ever. I mean, I hope they take Christmas Day off. I don't know, but they were adamant to have 2 quarterbacks in this class. That was adamant's my word. They were pretty set on getting 2 guys in this class. Well, now they've got 2 guys in this class. It just happens that with Puglisi, you have someone who's played a year before him, but they got someone in this class. They've got 4 guys, and I would say this to the Georgia fan base: don't pick favorites. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know who is supposed to be where and all this. We don't know. My suspicion is that Gunner will enter this season as the backup and will probably stay that. We'll just see. I'm telling you, though, I watched a lot of Mountain West, and UNLV was a very solid team this year. And again, a lot of points. And he did that not on giant volume throwing. There's not a lot of 300-yard games here. At Colorado State, he had 350. Air Force, he had 339. That's it. So a lot of this is he is, getting it done, being the quarterback, not playing quarterback, not necessarily just like, I'm going to throw it a million times. I think that's what people think about when they think about the Mountain West, which will be the Pac-12 soon enough in name. But, that's pretty solid football out there, particularly with the high-level teams, of which UNLV was. Now, it looks like they came in 3rd in the league behind Fresno and San Diego State. But, they lost their last 3 games of the season. Before that, their only losses were to Fresno, which there's no shame in losing to Fresno, and Michigan, who may or may not be, winning the national championship by the time you watch this. So, again, you're adding Jaden Mayava. It might be Mayava, but I'm not here to pronounce names necessarily of backup quarterbacks. That's not my job. My job is to talk about the global scheme of things. In this case, Mayava is the person that I'm talking about. So I'm going to try to get it right. But he picked UNLV allegedly over Auburn, Louisville, and Tennessee. That's what UNLV says. I don't know if that's, based in reality or not or what, but he spent some time. He was from Holland. Spent time in Honolulu and then was in Vegas. So he kind of moved around a little bit. But, UNLV said he was a former highly rated signal caller who turned in a strong season, was listed as the number 2 out of spring practice in 23. Changed his jersey number to number 1 after spending his first season as number 4, and that he picked UNLV over Auburn, Louisville, and Tennessee. Mayava. He was a 3-star prospect, highest rated high school quarterback in UNLV history. Wow. But look, I mean, I think Georgia's thing here is we want multiple quarterbacks. We want 4. We don't just want 3, particularly when one of the 3 is a true freshman. So this is going to be, if my math is right, 22, 23, 24. This will be his 23, 22, 23, 24. This will be his 3rd season of college football, just like Gunner. So there's going to be some fighting there to get the job done, but to win the backup job. But I'm not judging any way or another or rendering judgment. But this is not surprising come from Kirby and his program.